You able to hear me?
I can hear you. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, very good thing.
Yeah. So it seems I only can record audio right now, but that's okay for now, right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is... I'm Stealthbat, so,
And I'm Dustin, the German agent, the psychotic jackass you don't want to be friends with.
Well, alright then!
So, Brian, or Stealthbat, to be more precise, you don't believe this, there's been a recent update that you should know about.
With what?
Well, we talked about the whole diversity in comics and the whole issue with them, right, yesterday a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently, I haven't got a chance to see the video, but our boy Zach now is going to apparently take some legal actions against Mark Waid, I think the guy's name is, because of all the chaos that was going through. I'm not sure.
Not surprising.
I never thought I would get that far this quickly, but it's just.
Well, I mean, yes, it is a little bit quick, but I think quicker the better, because if you're going to take legal action, you have a limited time to act before it becomes a moot point or less effective.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of I kind of expect to hear something at least by Friday or something, because like you said, the quicker the better. But I mean, as of right now, the Indiegogo campaign, well, it's officially over, but they're still accepting funding. It's like up to $280, $280,000.
Right.
So I think I think that whole lawsuit thing that there were, or whole disinformation trying to get rid of them for good, was kind of backfired on them.
Yeah, I can see how that can be.
Yeah, and I just right after I got home from my interview today, I watched another YouTuber, Apabed, I think his name is. He's from the Philippines or something. His English is okay, but I just not sure I'm saying his YouTube name right. But apparently he doesn't talk about comics that much, but he does, voice his opinions on them. And apparently he has a very strong opinion on what's been going on. He just says, get politics out of our comics and just tell good stories. That's all pretty much everyone's been saying about the whole BS thing anyways. I mean, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but, I think it's just ridiculous on how chaotic it is.
Now, let me stop you right there. Is he talking about the politics in the actual story, or is he talking about the politics behind the scene when creating the comics?
It's hard to tell how he's talking because English is not his first language, but I think he's talking about the politics in the comics.
So not behind the scenes with the creators, but actually with the characters. Yeah,
with the characters, because it seems that Marvel is being very political right now, and I think that that's the problem that's been a lot of people do not like, is the politics in the comics.
Well, if I can just say, I think that it's a good thing that they're involving politics in the comics. I understand that it's a very treacherous road, and it's a fine line, but I think that if anyone can do it, Marvel can. And the reason why I support them for including politics in their comic books is because it gives an added layer of realism that if you just tell a simple story, it's obviously going to not click as to, oh, well, this doesn't sound real. You know what I mean?
Well, as long as the politics are loosely based on real events, I don't mind, but when you see the direct connections between an X-Men villain and our current president, then you're going to have a problem.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, sometimes they get sources and they play. I mean, look at some of the stuff that's been done with DC, like Superman. Superman, as well as a few other characters, at least to my knowledge. Now, this may be wrong, but from what I've heard, Superman, as well as other characters, were involved heavily with World War II, and that they were created, or should I say, used to give America hope in something whenever, the actual scene in the real life was very dire.
Yeah, I constantly hear this that Captain America was created by two Jewish individuals, and that's why when an early edition of Captain early issues in early days of Captain America, he punched Hitler, in which I have nothing against making fun of current events.
No. Punching Hitler is like that's not a powder cake. That's a party favor. Okay.
Yeah, that's a party favor. But everything seems getting a little too real. I mean, like we're now promoting. I mean, some people are saying that Superman's a immigrant, when other people are saying he's a refugee, and I don't care which he is. He's a foreigner from a different planet, and that's all you need to know.
All right, if they want to start labeling names, there's only one name that fits the bill, and here it is. You ready for it? I'm not sure you're ready for it. Are you sure?
I'm
okay,
ready.
Alien.
Okay, that's always been a really foreign immigrant.
I mean, he is an extraterrestrial. Don't get me wrong. I know he's a foreigner, but there's a difference between illegal alien or alien from another nation and an entire being from another universe. Okay.
I get it.
So.
Oh boy. It just amazes me on how some of these people will portray a simple comic book character, because I mean people didn't like what happened with Mockingbird, American Chavez. I mean, yeah, I see the problem. They're promoting, some of the writers are promoting their own personal politics in these comics, and the kind of shifted to DC a little bit. DC is pretty close to ending Batman and the White Knight, which I need to finish in that series. And as far as the series goes, it's pretty good. I mean, some people was worried about it'll be an SJW comic, and it was not. It does have, some political stuff in it, but it's not like it's not like it's shoved down your throat.
Right. Now, while we're talking about politics and comics, let's not forget the huge element whenever it comes to comic books and the comic scene, and that is the community. Because regardless of what they put in the comic book, they're almost never going to justify everybody's opinion, because there's always going to be some person who's going to take it way too seriously, or they're going to misread what's happening on the paper, and then all of a sudden, their idea of what they were trying to do in the comic book gets warped, and there's a possibility that opinion that becomes widespread. So,
true.
I mean, there's politics beyond the comic book.
Yeah, I think within the last year or so, there was some people complaining that I believe it was in Superman comic that they were mocking like a real life event, but yet some of these comics are like months and months ahead of certain events. I mean, if for instance, if I decided to do a storyline about a crazy Christian terrorist group who tries to take over, trying to take over Gotham City, and a actual Christian terrorist group actually takes over a city, some here in America. then it looks like we predicted that, or it was just too close to. Oh, God.
To be perfectly honest, 99 times out of 100, if it's in a comic book, it's coincidental at best.
Yeah, I say everything. I had to say that too, because it's like comic books and real life tend to go hand in hand at times. I mean, there was another YouTube channel. I want to shift the topic for a little bit. There was several cartoons banned or refused to be re-aired because how they were shockingly close to 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Metal Gear Solid 2. They literally had to change the cutscene just to make sure that it looked authentic, because they had the shot of the Twin Towers. Of course, Metal Gear Solid happened like a few years in the future of 2001. So, I think it was like 2009. If it's in the game, I'm always bad at timelines in games. It shows how well I pay attention to them.
Right. Well, I mean, it's not just comics and cartoons. If you remember vaguely, shortly after 9/11, there were several films that were in the past or currently about to be released that they actually had to delay or just not air for quite some time because they featured the Twin Towers in the film.
Yeah, and I've heard some films being, certain scenes had to be reshot and all because of certain tragedies, or an actor is in some legal issues and they had to recast, and yet, you kind of expect that, but let's see, I remember hearing that some crybabies, right about the same time as the tornado that hit 5 years ago here in Oklahoma, some people were complaining to Warner Brothers that they must take out the tornado scene in Man of Steel because it will offend the people in Oklahoma. Dude, nothing offends me anymore. Only thing that offends me now is stupidity from some dumbass.
Now, to be fair, there are several things that you don't want to offend other people. Religion and, being sensitive to acts of terrorism. Those are the two major causes. But whenever it comes to, natural disasters, are you kidding me? That's hardly anything that you need to censor.
Yeah, it's Mother Nature, and she's the biggest bitch of them all, I can tell you that much.
Well, it's not just that. It's based off of an action from a tragedy that was completely out of anyone's control. That really doesn't justify anything that should be censored in my eyes.
Yeah, it's just like some of these comic, writers or artists. They'll slightly sneak in some, religious texts, or not like Roman chapter 6 verse 7 blah blah blah, and when they don't see it when they are printing it, they had to remove it digitally when they put it on the digital comics. And at times I'm like, what? There's a time for your religion and there's a time for your professional work, and if you can't separate them two, then it's going to be hard to work with a person, because I like people who can separate their personal and religious beliefs at times. But when you're paid to do a job, don't sneak in religious stuff, please, because I'm not a big fan of religion.
Well, it's not just religion. If you're paid to do a job, you're supposed to act professional. That means no religion, no politics, and honestly, no loitering around either. If you're doing a job, you got to do that job. And if you're not doing that, then you're under qualification for being booted.
Yeah, and the problem with me is is like I'll say one thing and my stepdad be mad at me for saying it. I mean, yeah, I know there's repercussions when you say something, especially when
repercussions.
You don't. Yeah, repercussions. Sorry, I can't barely speak.
It's all right, just trying to help you out.
Yeah, there are going to be repercussions. There's going to be some blowback as well, but I try. It's just when it's simple. When we just make a simple statement like, okay. Can you prove this to me that this is true? Or can you prove that to me I'm wrong? Because I like to be proven wrong from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But when if you tell me that, oh, those people in this part of the world deserve to die because they worship a false god, and I'm saying, you're telling me that it's okay to kill people who do not worship the same God as you? I mean, that's inhumane.
No, what that is that's like almost borderline Nazi in my eyes.
Probably so.
Think about it this way. The Nazis and Hitler took it a step further. It was not just, oh, you worship someone else other than what we worship. They were talking about purists for the Aryan race. And so they viewed Jews as a bad example for their race. But, you're right. It's not quite like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that... I mean, I don't see how people can condone killing. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I try to be a peaceful person, and if you disagree with me, tell me why so I can see it from your point of view, because I'm always interested in other people's point of view. I mean, you and
you're open-minded.
Yeah, I'm open-minded. I mean, you and me may not, I may like the Wii U, and you think it's a piece of trash, which I know you said that a lot to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I don't think it's a 100% complete piece of trash, but I do think that the potential was wasted. Because I know that it had a lot of potential, and I think that the way it was implemented wasted a lot of that potential. So.
Yeah, and plus, you didn't really see a whole lot of people, and especially the higher-ups, take responsibility.
Of course not.
I mean, the only one I've heard that took responsibility is, it was Iwata. I think he was the only one that took some responsibility and decided to take a half a paycheck for a while.
Yeah. God bless him.
Yeah, it feels like that he was the only one that had some honor and pride in his work, and everyone else didn't seem to give a care.
Mm-hmm. And while we're on this topic, I'm hoping that the new leader of Nintendo of Japan shows promise as well, since he's recently taken up the throne in the past week.
Yeah, I've always disagreed with some things that Nintendo has done, but it's just that. After Iwata died, I still have some hope, but not as much. But I still love Nintendo because they were part of my childhood. I mean,
oh yeah.
I bet you cannot find one person who will forever hate Nintendo because they did a lot of stupid stuff.
To be fair, I'm going to correct you on that one. I know a lot of people in my friends list that actually fit that category. Now, do all of them feel that way? No. Do most of them still consider Nintendo part of their childhood? Hell yeah. But do they hate Nintendo for what they've become and their recent practices? Extremely.
That's pretty true, because some of their practices have been a little unusual, but it's just. They just within the last week they announced the Nintendo online service deal.
Mm-hmm. Now there is a lot to be talked about there. For example, the cloud save feature. being locked behind a paywall, regardless of what the paywall is. With it, yes, I get it. $20 a month is still very cheap compared to $60. Not $20. $20 a year is very cheap compared to the $60 a year for PlayStation and Xbox. But at the same time, it's still a paywall, and that paywall is the only way to back up your saves. Now, I am for this, because PlayStation also reserves backing up your saves to the cloud to a paid service. But I am in agreement with one thing, and that is that even though PlayStation allows you to save your stuff to the cloud with a paid service subscription, they also allow you to plug in a flash drive or a USB hard drive and back up your stuff manually offline, which I think needs to be added to Nintendo's policy if they're going to go this route. Because if they're going to make it exclusive that the only way you can back up your saves is through this cloud service, that's going to alienate a lot of people, as it already has been so far.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was going to correct you there. It's not $20 a month. It's $20 a year.
Right.
But here's the question. How good is the service is going to be? Maybe that's why it's so cheap, because I mean, of course, they're probably going to go super expensive with a service right away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they just want to say, hey, we're just going to, maybe over the next, 5 years or so, it'll be up to maybe $40 a year. Now, I'm just saying, 5 years, it'll probably be $40, but...
Yeah. Now, one thing that I have noticed about Nintendo, and this has pretty much been guaranteed without fail so far, at least, and that is, if Nintendo makes a price announcement, they never go above that price later on without very good reason. And so far, every single price that they've ever announced, they've never gone up on it. They've always, if anything, gone down on it over time. So I very much doubt that Nintendo's going to try to increase the price of their online service unless they start adding some big things to the service, like maybe GameCube games, like a huge GameCube library that you can access as a rental service like Netflix.
Yeah, I can probably see that. But see, I both got Xbox Live and PS Station Network, and yeah, I mean, I don't play I probably play my Xbox a little bit more, but I get a lot of free games, and I really don't care much about them because, hey, they're free anyways.
Right.
I mean, and plus I also I bought a lot of digital games that I have not played. I don't know why I do that. I seem to need to play them, but here's what I think about, I mean, I may play double advocate here for a second, but, if they get, I mean, I think the thing what I like about the PlayStation Network deal is, or PS Plus, what they're calling it, they literally give you they do it across platform. They do something on the Vita, PS3. Well, they're going to cut the PS3 next year, and the PS4. So you can literally get like $120 worth of games for free every month, and you only get paid $60.
Right. Now, I'm going to quickly, just for a second, before you continue, I'm going to let you know, they're not just cutting the PS3. The Vita is also being cut.
I just heard the PS3, but yeah,
No.
I just heard the PS3, but maybe like since a lot of games are kind of connected in some way to the PS for the Vita, I fear they're going to cut that, but I wasn't for sure. So because
there's an official statement that I can, if I scrounge the internet far enough, I can find for you directly from Sony that they are not only dumping PS3, but they're also dumping Vita in their PlayStation Plus free games service.
Yeah. I mean, even if they do that, I still feel like I got my money's worth if you just pay $6.
Absolutely.
And plus, I think, I mean, sometimes they'll like give you an extra 10% on some of the deals, but I think it's only like on select certain games. But
Well, they've actually the most I've ever seen them give as part of the PlayStation Plus subscription discounts is 40%.
I've seen 80 sometimes.
Well, that's true, but
it's not big. It's not a big thing.
We're right. Usually, if they give 80, it's on a title that's like 100 or more. So that way there's still a minimum of like $20 or $30 that you have to pay. So.
I think it pretends, but I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with that. But let's just say,
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Because I feel like if we just go around the circle of this, we get nowhere, right? So, but yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I've seen additional 10% or so at times, but it just varies from what game it is and like how popular it is and how much they want to sell copies.
Now, real quick, going back to the whole Nintendo Online service, there was and I'm gonna place a label here, reference Game Explain on YouTube. They had talked about how Nintendo has said that that Virtual Console will not be coming to the Switch, and that it'll only be through this rental service via the online service for NES games, and but I think that that there's something else that they said that intrigued me. I think it's also possible that they could go like both Xbox and Sony has this service. Xbox has it for PlayStation has it for PlayStation Now, and Xbox is it's a game rental as service. Well, anyhow, the point I'm trying to make is what if they create like an online subscription in supplement to the online service where you're paying a monthly fee or a yearly fee, however you want to look at it, for renting games that are like Virtual Console but from a very broader library.
I think I could see myself doing that if I had, the Switch and I was wanting to play, like an old game I haven't played in like 20 or 30 years, then yeah, I may want to do it. But Xbox Live have a Game Pass, which is like $10 a month.
Right, that was what it was called. Right.
Yeah, and I think PlayStation has a PlayStation Now, and that's and I haven't tried that yet because I've been cutting some services here and there. But,
right. I hear you.
But I was kind of a love-hate with the Game Pass deal because, and here's why. In the Game Pass library, there will be certain games that they'll literally give away for free, and other games that you get only like a 10% discount.
Okay.
And it was kind of hard, I mean, you can literally get some games, yeah. I mean, some of the games I was like, okay. I mean, yeah. I may want that or not. I mean, like if it was free, if it said it was free, I took it. But EA has their own, service deal. I forget what it's called off of the top of my head.
Right.
I mean, it's like $30 a year, which isn't bad, but it's kind of of course you get their EA library, and some games are free, and other games you get a bit of a discount as well. But I mean, what the thing I think about weird thing about the Xbox deal is every major exclusive that they have with them, it's gonna be on the Game Pass day one. So there's no way it will be on there day one, so digitally. So you can like download Sea of Thieves or Crackdown 3. You can download any exclusive game that they have in their library.
But now here's the thing: I do want to not correct, but help you out on some of the information. The Xbox Game Pass, I've never messed around with it, but I have messed around with PlayStation Now. PlayStation Now doesn't give discounts for renting games. What it does is you pay a monthly fee, or you pay a subscription fee, and all the games that are involved with PlayStation Now are rentable for free during the time that you have a subscription.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how Xbox is, but I'm not. I mean, like I say, I haven't touched the PlayStation service, the scrapping service with that because I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, if I had a PS4, then I may would consider, but since I don't, I didn't want to mess with it.
I hear you. Yeah. But that was the point that I was trying to make with the Nintendo thing, is that the one thing that Sony and the one thing that PlayStation and Xbox don't have with their Netflix game rental service is that Nintendo has the best, first party games in existence for a hardware and game publisher.
Well, Nintendo's been developing games since the 80s, and Microsoft and Sony has only been around since like the 90s and early 2000s. So so that's why Nintendo will always have the best library of games, because they've been around the longest.
And that's the reason why I think that there is a lot of potential if they do a Game Pass-like service on the Switch, because with that strong backing of good games as a library, they could easily just add like NES, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and maybe even GameCube, and hell, even only start out with like 10 or 20 games for each console to rent, and I mean, that would sell out like hotcakes. People would just kill to have that kind of availability.
Tell me about it. I mean, yeah. If Nintendo gets into if Nintendo gets into the game service business, I mean, and I think Microsoft kind of predicted it, because they're now allowing original Xbox games to play on the Xbox One. I mean, like, now they're doing it when it's nearly the end of their gaming life cycle. I mean, hello.
Well, to be perfectly honest, the only reason why they're doing it is because backward compatibility is the Xbox's best selling point right now. There is no other system out there right now that is backward compatible with all systems from its previous, lifespan.
Well, probably so, because I mean, I know that the PlayStation has backwards compatibility, but you can only play like the PS3. And before, can only be played on the PS3, but anything beyond PS4, you can't play the PS3 and before.
There is a little bit of fine lining there. The original 60 gig and 80 gig and the original models, the fat models of the PS3, were back compatible with PS1 and 2 as well as 3. Now, then whenever they updated later models to make the system cheaper, so keep in mind it launched at a $600 price tag.
Yeah, I remember that, Brian.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to offend.
Well, I remember everything the PS3 did, because when I saw that price point, I was like, holy shit, nobody's going to buy it. They're doomed. I was saying a lot of negative things in my head. That's why I avoided a PS3 like the plague for a very, very long time.
Right. But anyhow, the point I'm trying to make here is to cut that price almost in half. They dropped backward compatibility for the PS2, which the reason why they had what made that work was they had a PS2 sub chip on the motherboard, allowing for hardware compatibility. So to make the system cheaper, they ditched that chip and allowed it to play only PS1 and PS3 games. Then PS4 comes into the play, and it's backward compatible with nothing.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can play digital versions of a PlayStation 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow. So I don't have to waste, like 3/4 of a paycheck just to, buy like 5 games. And yeah, I can go on my PlayStation. I go on the PlayStation Store and buy hundreds of games for a better price.
Now, here's something that's even crazier. There's a little bit of sidestepping here, but there were some PS3 games that were carried over to the PS4, but here's the problem, and this is one of the main things that PlayStation users have complained about, is that whenever their PS3 titles were updated for PS4 compatibility, guess what? They were not given any discounts for owning it on PS3. They were not given it for free for owning it on PS3. They had to pay full price all over again to get the same game on PS4 that they already owned on PS3. It's kind of ridiculous.
Kind of like, I think you told me a story that you had to buy the same game on several different consoles on the Virtual Console.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I have owned. Let me get this straight. There is a game that I own almost every single console that had Virtual Console, and that was A Link to the Past. I owned it on the Wii. I owned it on the Wii U. I owned it on the 3DS, and I mean, each time I had to pay for it separately, instead of it being tied to my account, which, by the way, it was tied to my account, but only to my account linked with those consoles, which, come on, Nintendo. I know. 3 times the charm, 3 strikes you're out, it's kind of funny.
Man, I feel sorry for you and still do.
I know. But, I mean, either way, it was money that I felt it was worth, putting up until I finally just had it. I mean, gaming companies need to understand now that we don't want to pay for the same game over and over just because you added compatibility for newer hardware. Now, this is one thing that Xbox got right, believe it or not. If you own a Xbox 360 game digitally on the store and it becomes a added backward compatible title for the Xbox One, you don't have to pay a penny. You can just download it to your Xbox One for free since it's already tied to your Xbox Live account and play your heart out.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I think there's only certain games you can play on Xbox One that are 360.
That is correct, but I'm just saying if you're lucky and one of your games gets added to that compatibility, you don't have to pay a thing. You already own it.
Yeah, so but I still think they're just rolling in way too soon. So I mean, come on, this console has been out for how many years, and you still haven't, put your entire catalog in there yet?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
now while we're go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, it's just ridiculous that Microsoft is just being so slow. I mean, like, sheesh. I mean, I think Sony was faster out with their entire catalog.
That's true. Now, I will say this much, though. With the coming rumors of the PS5, and don't get me wrong, it is coming. It's just, whether it becomes, 2019 or 20 whenever it gets released. But anyhow, my point is, one of the main topics with Sony right now with their new console is backward compatibility.
Oh, yeah.
Is it going to be backward compatible with the PS4? Because here, I'm going to make this declaration right now. This is not just a prediction. This is a declaration. If they release the PS5 and it's not backward compatible with the PS4, not only are they going to fall behind Xbox, but they're going to fall behind Nintendo, and they will both laugh at them.
I think they're there was recently a patent for backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 5. Now it's just a rumor because you know how rumors can be sometimes. I don't believe until I hear that they're official or anything. But,
right, you take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and some people, not naming names, will take any rumor seriously, and when that rumor changed, whoever reported on the rumor will get thrashed. I mean, like I've seen it time and time again with with certain reviewers, especially Rich from Review Tech USA.
Yeah.
He's been ripped, and people have been ripping him apart for years anyway. So, and I that's why I don't believe in rumors. I don't believe until somebody says it's official from Sony or Microsoft or yet Nintendo.
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, and here's a true story, Brian. I told you this a while back. I did not believe that the Phantom Pain was a Metal Gear Solid 5. I never believed it. I thought it was a new IP. I literally said it in the forum, say, as far as I know, this is a new IP, which I'm hoping for it to be good. And you know what? I was wrong. It was Metal Gear Solid 5, and I was like, well, at least I did. At least I didn't dive into the same drinking well as some of these idiots did.
Yeah. Now, there's two things I want to say about this whole rumor business. One, people have gotten a little bit wiser now that the whole practice of listening to rumors has become a little bit more widespread. They've gotten a little bit wiser about checking credentials and seeing if they're more credible, than just saying, "Oh, I've got a rumor and he's a nobody." Now, okay, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, there's been a lot of rumors about the remake for Resident Evil 2. I mean, and this one YouTuber who I really dislike, and he believes anything he hears about Resident Evil, and I think he's a psychopath. And one of the rumors I heard that A and B scenarios are going to be gone for both characters, so it's like going to be like one continuous storyline, which I'm hoping they could do. I think what Capcom consider official canon for Resident Evil 2 is Claire A and Leon B. I think that's official canon for Resident Evil 2 lore, but I'm not for sure. But I don't pay much attention to it. But I think that's the official canon. So we don't know what story we're going to get. So I'm open to whatever story we get, and I hope it's good. But there's also one rumor that some people are hoping is true is Elsa Walker. I mean, she was originally supposed to be in the game, but she was remodeled as Claire Redfield. Right. And I'm hoping they do something with her. I mean, it's just that I have hope for some rumors that yes, some rumors are true, and hope some rumors are false. But like I said, like you said, you should take everything with a grain of salt.
Yes, I hear it. But the second thing I wanted to say about rumors, and this is really what I feel about rumors, because it's become so common practice to look for rumors, listen to them, and make your own judgments. People who leak rumors have now become more complicit with doing so, and this is actually a bad thing. And the reason why I say this, for example, let me tell you one thing that happened recently on Reddit's leaks page, rumor mill. Some guy who I do not know his name and probably don't want to label in this, but some guy on Reddit rumors mill actually uploaded a document detailing every single game announcement and information that will, for all companies, that will take place at this year's E3. I'm talking about the entire E3 event in one document.
I'd like to see that document, please, because here's what I think about. If he can get at least 9 out of 10 games I say, okay, probably, lucky. But if he
Right.
can get every single game that he knows they're going to be there, then I say, okay, he knows his stuff. But I
Right.
won't. But I mean, like the Switch, I didn't believe it until it was officially announced from Nintendo.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is it's not whether or not they're right. It's the fact that they're leaking information ahead of the planned surprise that the companies are trying to go for with these presentations, and it ruins that effect. And it actually does, if you think about it, affect sales.
Yeah, it does. The thing, well, I mean, like, and here's one thing I don't like about rumors. Okay, if you believe, let's say, you and I kind of talked about this. It's like
Hmm.
if somebody told me that, I mean, this is something I want as well, that the next PlayStation, that PS5 is going to be upgradable, and you and I have already kind of talked about this, and I say,
Oh yeah,
I see that maybe happening in probably with the next couple generations of consoles, but not the next few.
right.
But I would not mind an upgradable console, but yet you would have to constantly upgrade your TVs. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
upgrade a lot of stuff, but
Well, um, sorry, I didn't mean to interject here, but I do have an opinion on that. The problem with an upgraded console, and I've had some time to think about this since we've talked about it last. The problem with an upgraded console is, for one thing, it's going to be a Frankenstein system, just like what Sega did with their Genesis. Genesis CD 32X.
yeah, and
But
we talked about that for a while, and I was like, I was like still shocked that they even went that far.
But there is one added problem that it took me a while to think about and realize, but I'm going to make it clear here. And this is getting a little bit on the more technical side, so be prepared. If you have an upgradable console, there is no way, absolute zero way, to make a motherboard that is universally upgradable for future technologies, because it's impossible. Because if you're trying to upgrade your processor, then the type of shape of the processor allowed, both size as well as the amount of pins underneath the processor,
Yeah.
determines the socket type. Imagine drills. Drill bits, how they have different sizes. Small to large.
Yeah.
Well, imagine the same thing, only they're called sockets for processors. Every so often, like with 2 or 3 years, those sockets change because they have to adapt to newer technologies built around better processors. But you can't do this with a upgradable console, because here's the thing. First of all, to change out a processor, you have to not only change out the processor itself, but the heatsink as well as the thermal paste connecting the heatsink and the processor together. This was a big problem with the Xbox 360, because they would just place thermal paste, just cheap ass. They would place a sticker there in placement of thermal paste, and it would overheat and thus the red ring of death. But anyhow, so the point I'm trying to making, since you can't upgrade the processor and sockets upgrade all the time, all you can really upgrade is maybe the RAM, but that's limited. But the one thing that you can upgrade is the graphics card. Now, here's the problem with that. Eventually, that motherboard, along with its current processor, is going to be outdated as hell. And upgrading the graphics card is going to what is called bottleneck the system. The system's processor and current components will actually affect the newer card if you upgrade to a newer card, and will reduce performance.
Oh yeah, I think we talked about that last time. We mentioned it. I mentioned it to you.
Yeah, it would be a very bad idea for them to have an upgradable console because it would only be upgradable for the next 3 or 4 years. In which case, you'd have to upgrade the motherboard, which meant releasing a whole new console altogether. In which case, it's been 3 or 4 years, and it's about the same time for a new console anyway, thus defeating the purpose.
Consoles been going down for almost. I mean, there was one console that went for over a decade, and
There's been
that.
2 consoles that have gone over a decade.
Oh yeah, the PS2 and the. Damn, what was the other one?
The other one was the PS1.
Oh, PS1. I was thinking of another console then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Uh,
PS3's almost lasted a decade, by the way.
if you include the Pro, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you're talking about pre-Pro, God, if you're talking about before the PlayStation Pro,
Well, there was never a PlayStation Pro. I'm talking about the PS3.
well, yeah,
Um,
but I mean, like, if you're excluding the PS3 Pro, then yes, but
there. I apologize, but I'm not trying to get on your nerves. But there was no PlayStation 3 Pro. There was PlayStation Original.
4 Pro. I get my PlayStation mixed up.
That's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I'm just trying to
I'm like,
keep you on track.
I need to pay attention to what console I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not the,
Yeah, I'm talking about the PS3. You're thinking about the PS4. I'm talking about the PS3 with its long line of game releases as well as console revisions. Which, by the way, the revisions changed very little other than the size.
yeah,
And that was PS3, PS3 Slim, and PS3 Ultra Slim.
yeah.
So yeah, if you count all of those, the PS3 has had a very long lifespan.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you're right. But who knows what happens in the next generational console? Because
True.
I mean, anything could go wrong one day or another.
Yeah, but we're getting off topic, so.
Hey, that's what we're here for. We can never stay on topic, anyways.
That's true. That's very true. We just say what's on our minds and then move on to whatever word comes after next.
Yeah, I mean, we originally talked about the virus here in comments finally taking the legal actions, and now we're talking about PlayStations.
It's kind of like daydreaming. You think about one thing that starts the daydream, and by the time you're at the end of it, you're kind of like, how the heck did I get here?
We need. I think we should have like a structure of topics, not just be like a crazy missile. Go where direction we feel like going.
So should we have like what's called a topic tree? So where if we branch off, there's another root that grows. I'm like, okay.
I mean, yeah. Who knows? Who knows what happens?
And place a little acorn on each branch.
Yeah. I see a lot of acorns at my grandparents' place. So
Yeah, but anyhow, there is something I'd like to talk about with video games. Recently, I just got an email from an old free-to-play game on Steam that I enjoyed a lot back in the day. It's by the name of Robocraft, and they have done something very bold. About 3.5 years ago, they started adding to Robocraft loot boxes. Like little crates that you would earn as progression.
Yeah.
That you could also buy with real currency. Now, here's the thing. As of this afternoon, about 12:30 Central Standard Time, they announced via email that they are removing all loot box and gambling transactions in the game. They're just completely removing it in general because of public opinion, and I think this is awesome.
I'm okay. To be quite honest, I'm mixed with loot boxes. I mean, I like them as long as you can, use like in-game currency. You don't have to pay for the currency because I think that's cool. But the way that, Activision has done it, well, I mean, yeah, EA has done it, but I think I think Activision has really pushed loot boxes to extreme levels.
Right.
They'll in Call of Duty World War II, they'll literally show you what if you open their loot box, it shows what you're getting. It shows everybody what you're getting. I mean, thanks for not wanting to buy the game now because I do not like loot boxes.
Now, to be fair, your comparison of Activision versus EA is actually more guilty than you think. First of all,
I know EA is more guilty, but I think the reason why they're more guilty is because of the holding of the Star Wars license. And yes, I agree with some people. Yes, they are probably just saying, "Oh, it's actually a Star Wars casino." Yeah, I get it. But I mean, if you can get stuff for free without using real world money, I'm fine with that. If I'm using real money, then I have a problem with it.
That's not what I meant.
Well,
I wasn't saying that EA is more guilty than Activision. I was saying that EA is more guilty than you think. As in, maybe not as bad as Activision, but you're not giving them enough guilty credit.
Well, I know that, but I've heard EA's taking a lot of crap, and I say, yeah, I get it, but you can get free loot boxes.
Well, actually, I wasn't talking about EA's Battlefront 2. I wasn't talking about that at all because,
hold on.
Sure.
All right, I'm back.
All right, and the particle sun returns. So,
Yeah.
Anyhow, what I was trying to say was what I have information on has nothing to do with EA Battlefront 2. Now, the reason why I say that is because the information I have is actually very recent. And that is, first of all, that EA's press earnings briefing recently, they have said that we are not dropping loot boxes, that we have huge plans for loot boxes in the near future, and that we are not shying away from using those plans. Now, the other thing, and before you say about that, I want to add this real quick. I don't remember which one of their EA Sports titles it is. It might be their football, whatever, football game. But yeah, I don't know which one it is, so take it with a grain of salt. But one of them has a loot box system so similar to gambling that whenever you open the loot box crate, what you are greeted with is a slot machine system where it rolls three columns all the way down, rolling through them, and then one column stops, another column stops, and then the third column stops, and there are your rewards.
Sheesh.
And EA is claiming that loot boxes are not gambling. I would highly how can I say this? I am so frustrated I can't speak. I would highly
consider it gambling.
Yeah, exactly. I would highly disagree with what they're saying because even they know it's gambling because otherwise they wouldn't use some kind of slot machine gimmick.
Well, I think some states are now going to ban the practices because it may not be within the next year, but I'd say by the next 5 to 10 years, gambling in games like that will not be in games much longer.
Right now, the only state in the United States outside of a couple of others, the one leading the charge in the U.S. is Hawaii.
Yeah, say Hawaii is the only state that I knew that's they're like full force, like they're like charging it, like a mad bull.
Let's consider it this way: in the United States, it's like a marching band, and Hawaii is the conductor in front of the marching band, doing all of the organization and being in charge. And there are several other states that are following Hawaii's moves, but only as people following a leader.
True.
So now Europe entirely. Oh man, they are cracking down on this hard.
I would say Europe has some countries, yes, others are not, because some say it doesn't meet our criteria gambling, but others says it has. So I say Europe has at least a head start on the U.S. What we're doing.
Well, here's the thing. From what I've heard, Europe has actually declared all loot boxes, even cosmetic ones, as gambling, and they've even taken it a step further. They have announced that all companies that feature loot box in their games, whether it be mobile or otherwise, have a certain amount of time to alter their game to remove the loot boxes, or to be either one of two things. Either A, have their game banned in Europe, or B, suffer legal fines and possibly even jail time, or both.
I can see more likely ban and game in the countries, because it's going to be kind of hard to extradite some of these developers. So I mean, unless they're if this happening in if the company's in the specific country, then yes. But I'm not sure how the European Union extradition laws work. So,
well, a lot of the companies that they're targeting have European
ties.
Well, let me put it this way: a lot of the companies that they're targeting have European branches in Europe.
Okay.
So, like Nintendo of Europe, there's EA. They have a building in Europe. You know, a lot of these bigger companies that they're talking about have stations built in Europe, and I think those are the ones that are going to get targeted.
Yeah, because you kind of figure they can all. I mean, if they're based in the European, countries, then yeah, they'll probably get more stuff done quicker, because all they have to do is go to them and say, hey, if you're in our territory, turn this off. And that's it.
Well, it's not just if you're in our territory. Here's the thing. They're not just targeting the big AAA companies that have offices in their country.
It's also the indie guys, yeah.
Yeah, they're targeting everybody, who includes loot boxes that have a game available for purchase and or access in their country. And for people that don't have any offices in Europe, they'll probably just resort to banning them or seeking legal action like, fines. But for people who have stations in Europe, they could go as far as jail time.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but I can see it with the loot box. I feel like by probably within 2 years he'll be dead anyway. So
yeah, I think that 2 years and we're going to see a huge decline of loot box practices. After about 5 or 6 years, we could be seeing an extinction or an end to loot boxes altogether.
Yeah, because and here's what I think about. Like I said, as long as if it's not, like I say, if it's not costing a person a dime, yeah, and I can see it. But if your audience is like a child, all they have to do is get the parent's credit card and charge it that way, and the parents won't probably know until when they get the bill.
Now, to be fair, I'm actually a little bit against that, and the whole idea that it's only bad if you can purchase loot boxes. I think that any game that includes a gambling system where you get an item that will open and give you an unknown amount of good stuff, I think that any game that features that, whether you can buy those those items or not, I think any game that includes that in part of the progression or from earnings from missions
Uh-huh.
is bad because any kid can buy the game and or play the game, and whenever they experience this sensation of trying to open these items to get what they want, that introduces the addiction or base addiction of gambling.
Yeah, just like Konami, they are charging $10 for an extra save slot, and I'm like, wow, I'm thankful that I can save as many games as I want for free.
Mm-hmm. It's just that I think that just the exposure in any shape or form of loot boxes, regardless of whether you can pay real money to get them or not, the exposure is what the huge threat is, not just the fact that you can purchase them for real money. I think that we need to safeguard the exposure away from kids from the ages of 12 to 18, maybe even 21. So,
and this kind of give you my two thoughts, my 2 cents on gambling.
Sure.
I personally don't gamble at all. If it's like, oh, I bet this will happen, and if it does, I'll do a crazy act. Stuff like that, I don't mind. But when money's involved, I'm like, no, I don't want to gamble my money away. We all know that some of these, how do we know whether the guy who's giving you the information is real or not? Or legit? You just don't know who you're dealing with when you don't want to gamble. If I want to go to the casino, which is there's not far from my place. I just had to go to Remington Park. That's a casino, literally. And yet I can just go there and watch the horses race. And if my mom or another family wants to, spend money on a bet, that's fine with me. I don't care.
Right. Now, here's the thing, though. With this whole gambling, hold on, my brain just decided to derail.
A brain fart?
Yeah.
I get them a lot, so you're not the only one.
Yeah, we were talking about gambling and children and see, what was it?
Loot boxes?
Right, loot boxes. We were talking about how you could go to right. Okay, so here's the thing. Come on. What the hell? Oh man. Anyhow, so my opinion on loot boxes is that if we don't shield kids from loot boxes. Oh, that's right. That's what it was.
Yeah, shield kids from loot boxes.
No. There is one thing that has been said as a compromise to loot boxes that I think would be a acceptable compromise, and that is that the company owning the game that has loot boxes disclose in game before they open a loot box, or just somewhere in the game, disclose the odds of each item dropping in the loot box. And I know that they're not going to do that because it takes away the fog of the fog of guesswork. It takes away the feeling that you're going to get what you want in the next loot box you open. And I understand that, and that's the reason why they don't want to do it. But here's the thing. If you don't do this, then you're no different than gambling, because gambling is getting something that with an unknown outcome and expecting the next thing to be a big win without knowing the odds.
True. I know my dad gambled, here and there, but he never. I think he made a little money, but not a whole lot. So I think he'd been to Vegas a few times, and that's where he gambled. So hey, win in Vegas, gamble.
One second. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Anyhow, by the way, when you left for a minute, I'll talk to you about it later.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyhow, yeah, I think that if they were to disclose the odds for each item that's possible to drop in that loot box, I think that would diffuse a lot of the legal arguments for loot boxes in that game.
Yeah.
Since you're basically telling everyone, okay, the item that you're trying to get is probably a 0.01% chance of dropping.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and here's one of the things. I played, this was a gift from my sister-in-law a couple years ago. She gave me one of those scratch-off tickets, and it tells you that you have like a 1 in 8.5 chances of winning something. So, like, if I buy, let's say I buy 9 tickets, and it's like one of those dollar scratch-offs or something. I don't remember the value, but and yet I scratch every single one off. If only one of them wins, you win a free ticket. No money. But if I do the same thing with like a big value scratch off tickets, and it's just like I buy like it's like say it was like 1 out of 9.8 chances of winning something, so I buy 10 tickets, see if that will help, and I may win like $5.
Now, to be fair,
I'm just throwing numbers out, people. So don't yell at me.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, the whole 1 in 8 and 1 in 9 excuse that they give half the time with these chance tickets, those most of the time are actually average odds.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say this is because it's still a chance. Let's say you have 30 tickets, and there's a 1 in 8 chance. Well, that means that 5 out of the 30 are winners. Now, if that's the case, what happens whenever you open 15 of them, and those 5 aren't part of the 15 that you pull? It's going to look bad, but at the same time, it's still based off of an average odds. Now, there is a few, like McDonald's, where whenever they do the little Monopoly thing, that like 1 in 4 wins, and usually they are pretty accurate. But the problem is, yes, 1 in 4 people win, but what they win is like a free drink. So
yeah, I was gonna say like I was gonna say, what do you win? Do you win like a free small fry or a free small drink? I mean, or a free ice cream or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing: they save the big wins for the much harder to get odds.
Yeah.
And now let me explain it this way: the way McDonald's does is they've got 2 winning pools. They've got their instant wins, which, from what I can tell, are not part of any big pool. They're basically just free gimmicky freebies, like a free drink, a free burger, or a buy one get one free McCafe or something like that.
Yeah.
And those are 1 in 4. However, the big wins, which are the Monopoly pieces, those are usually 1 in 20 or 30 million. And the reason why I say that is because there's actually a guy that did a study about this, where he found that almost all the pieces on the board in Monopoly were given out in large amounts, with the exception of 1 piece for each color. And that 1 piece was so rare that they would only give him like 1 every 20 mil or 500 mil printed, like really, really rare, because anyone who gets those pieces is going to win. Because because
you only want like we'll say like maybe like 2 or 3 winners at tops, if not.
Right.
Because you don't want like 50% of your fan base winning the big the big lot or the big prize. But I mean, yeah, so that's why they're probably only limited. That's probably what they do. It's probably just limited to maybe like 1 in 20 million or so. I'm not like I said, I just throwing numbers out there.
Right.
So yeah, I get that, but it's just that it's just that. I mean, I'm not, I'm not against people who want to play the games, but it's just that it's that's just to me like a form of gambling I can't get behind at times.
Yeah, but that's how they get you. Is they get with the 1 in 4 wins as the cheap, basically coupons. 1 in 4 tickets will give you a coupon that they can afford to exchange since Monopoly's so friggin' huge. And the actual wins are more like 1 in 20 or 1 in 200 million.
Yeah, I think that's about right. If McDonald's want to play it safe.
Yeah, but what I meant by 1 in 20 is 1 in 20 million or 1 in 200 million. You get my drift.
Yeah, I get your drift, but it's just that it seems like everything is getting weird and weird every single time we turn on our computers and see what's in the news at the time because I don't.
Oh yeah. Now, let's see here. What else can we talk about?
Well, actually, I was gonna say we need to kind of wrap this up because I got. I got a thing I need to do for my grandmother tonight. So.
Well, it's not only that, but we've been we've been in this for
almost 80 minutes. So.
1 hour and 18 minutes. So
let's just.
We'll just have to save for the next discussion for next time. So.
Yeah, I mean, if I get some good footage or some good recordings, then I'll post it. If not, we're just gonna say we're gonna try something different because I just want to test this out on Skype and see if it actually can work. But if not, we're just gonna try something else. Okay.
Well, in case this is uploaded to YouTube, I'm StealthBat.
Yeah, I'm Dustin, the German agent, the guy you don't want to be with.
All right.
See you around, StealthBat.
Later.
Bye.